It is so good to see you all and to be here to talk Unite. We are going to spend a little time talking about what a day in the life of Unite looks like. I'm going to introduce our who's here real quick. So my name is Jim Eaton, and I'm serve as the Director of Youth Ministry for the Midwest Conference, and also on the interim ECC Youth Ministry team. And I'm also co-pastoring a church. And then we've got Eric and Jordan here who serve on the Covenant Events team. And so our ECC interim youth ministry team and Eric and Jordan as the events team are working together to spearhead all of the movement forward towards Unite 2024. I'm going to let Eric and Jordan take it over and tell us a little bit about what we've kind of outlined as our projected day in the life of Unite 2024.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, we just want to say to you from Jordan, or from Jordan myself, I thank you for being here. It's not lost on us that the time it takes to come and carve out time with family ministry. Like it's important investment. We just want to say thank you for being here, part of these meetings. We are like recognizing that like this schedule is going to look a little bit different than Chick/Unites of former years. And so we're again reminding everyone we're part of this partnership with CIY, and we are sort of adopting with some of their programming and also putting some of our ethos into it. But this is like I would say the bones of the schedule. So at both sites, you'll see on the left-hand side, when it comes to July 15th, people will be traveling in to Unite 2024. And then from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at both sites, both in their same time zone, we'll have a check-in and welcome party, which you're all probably familiar with. And it's kind of like that. Everyone's getting checked in, getting their students in the right housing assignments that are already pre-assigned, and then kind of moving towards and gravitating towards a welcome party environment. And then while that's kind of going on, students and leaders will have dinner, and then there's going to be an adult leader meeting right there at 6 p.m., which will be a kind of a kickoff adult leader meeting, just to kind of really kind of walk through any questions and also really kind of set the tone for the week. I mean, I would say prayerfully set the tone for the week. And then from there, this is something that's new language for us, but students have the opportunity at 6:30 to transition from dinner before the pre-session activities to kind of something that CIY kind of crafts and creates. It's something called evening prayers. And it's a really beautiful thing where students that want to come and pray for the evening and pray for what God might do, what's going to happen, what's going to be really like forthcoming that evening, that's what they get to come and do that. And then that leads to the pre-session activities, which will be either outside of the sort of like meeting space, the arenas, or inside, depending on the context. And that leads us into the evening session on night one. And I can say that's going to be consistent from 6:30 to the dorm time is going to be consistent. So what you're seeing right now will be sort of the model of what we do over the next 4 nights. And then we'll go to youth group time after that. And that's kind of sort of the transition time to like, we're going to process what God has done, what spoke out to you, and like how you want to design that with your group leaders. And we're going to help create some stuff that'll be helpfully handles for you, all the ministries and all youth groups when it comes to what this looks like. And then the desire is to be in dorms by 11 p.m. There's not like a bed check at 11 p.m., but that's just everyone's in the dorms, kind of sort of, I would say, develocitizing from the day. So, and now I'll just kind of touch on sort of everything before dinner over the next 3 days. So one of the unique things when it comes to discipleship that we've been discerning with CIY and their programming, Christ in Youth, who's our strategic partner this year to pull off both sites, is that they have a student morning prayer activity where students who want to go deeper in their faith and kind of come together and join in prayer and ask some questions. They have a little bit of a prayer time before breakfast. It's completely open and optional for your students that want to be a part of it. So they have a space, and we'll give you all those details when we get closer to the event, where those will be hosted at both sites. And then you're into breakfast. And when you have breakfast together, then the adult leader meeting will happen as your students sort of kind of like transition to the pre-session activities before the morning session. So we just think it's important to have the adult leader meeting before like the morning session so that we can kind of connect so that everyone, every volunteer youth leader can be a part of the morning session with their students. So then we'll come back together for the morning session together. It's a little bit of a moment, a little bit of a more intimate discipleship time. And then we actually send all the groups off to a student devotional time and small group time. And that'll look different maybe every single day, but that'll be kind of the transition time towards lunch. So after the morning session, which maybe if you've been a part of the Chicks in the Unite Pass, was called Base Camp, we are going to do all of these together. Instead of sending groups to multiple locations, we're going to create content that kind of brings everyone together, and then everyone has time to do a student devotional time and then small group time. And then we have lunch, and then lunch happens at all the locations, and then we go into afternoon activities. So that's kind of how the morning looks and feels when it comes to our day in the life. But I kind of want to transition to day 5 briefly. And if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. Jordan, myself, any of the team would love to answer. Day 5 is something I just want to touch on a little bit here. We're looking at like an early dorm checkout. So we kind of get up, get all of our stuff out of the dorms, head to breakfast. Then once the stuff's out of the dorms, doesn't need to be necessarily in your van or on a trailer or anything. It's just kind of getting cleared out. We do breakfast, and there'll be one last adult leader meeting, and then one last morning session. And if you remember from Unite and Chicks Pass, we kind of ended on an evening service, and everyone kind of did their own thing on Friday or that last day morning. We're going to kind of end with kind of like a moment of discipleship. We'll have a pre-session activity, morning session, and this student devotional time, small group time. That's going to be kind of up to the leader of how you want to navigate that. Either you can capitalize that time or be like, hey, we just really got to get in the car. We understand. But that's sort of like kind of the launching pad of where we're headed. So that's a lot out of me. I'm going to let my colleague in arms, Jordan. Jordan, will you add anything else to this?
No, I mean, the primary shift that you can see is historically Chick or Unite would start on Sunday night with session 1. And so we're moving that session to Friday morning. And so instead of ending on, like Eric said, on Thursday night, we'll be ending on that Friday morning to kind of set the tone prior to traveling out. And our hope is that with the regional events, the Friday transition day, we'll be able to do some morning discipleship and travel home and kind of capitalize on the full week of Unite 2024. But no, I think you captured all of the details quite well, Eric.
Well, thank you, my friend. A couple questions coming in. Message and worship will be live at both locations with different performers and speakers. That's right, Chuck. Yeah, it'll be fully live when it comes to that kind of content. We are working diligently to see how we could find communicative ways to live communicate to both sites outside of certain scenarios. But yes, the speakers and worship will all be live together. And then Adam asked, will there be staff secured storage space for luggage the morning of the 19th for those who fly out and don't have vehicles? We can we can help negotiate that with the universities as a staff and CIY to make sure what that looks like.
Right on. Yeah, it looks like somebody just asked, what are the afternoon activities? And I was actually going to see if, talk about that too. See if you guys wanted to share anything related to what makes up those options. Or maybe it's too soon. I don't know, but let us know.
Yeah, Dave, our hope and goal is to have it look like sort of what we've done in the past in partnership with CIY. We're going to have, same kind of like what you just said, Chuck. There'll be pools, gym, rec centers, different creative outlets for those who that might not be their gift set or desire. We're still working diligently to figure out what does excursions look like. And our hope is to have that in the coming weeks here, what that looks like at both sites. But yeah, on-site is the same kind of things that you've experienced over the years in both locations.
Yeah, our goal with afternoon activities is when you look at your youth group and the interests and kind of passions that they have, we would have afternoon options that fit all of those interests. So for the athletic, kind of that's their bent. We have tournaments set up. For the ones that are more inclined to arts and crafts and that type of activity, we'd have those types of activities set up. For those that want more of an academic or a discipleship track, like we've done breakouts in the past in Chick history. And so we would have things like that set up. Like those are things that are forming with our team, with the interim youth ministry team, with our coaches. Like that'll be kind of birthed over the season ahead. But our goal is that every student sees themselves in the afternoon activities that are presented and available to them.
Looks like somebody's asking about lanyards. I don't know what if we know that yet, but lanyards with the name tag and schedule, that kind of thing.
No, I mean, not quite yet. It's a different little bit of a model because with CIY, they have awesome like little wristbands, and then they utilize their app, which is going to be new for us. So when it comes to like push notifications, so they're going to push us to their app that helps us kind of follow along the schedule, communication, what to expect throughout the week. Like, for example, a thunderstorm's coming, everyone get inside, or they really do a great job when it comes to communication on site, utilizing their technology. So I think that's something that we're discerning. The lanyards were always a fun thing on the planning side of things, because if someone lost their lanyard, you're in trouble. It's a deal. So we're trying to figure out what that looks like for us in this model. So we will hopefully have that kind of like some of those nuanced things in the coming months that you'll be aware of.
I want to jump back up to a question we may have missed. The question was about speakers and bands at both locations.
Yeah, Angie, our goal is that Unite East and Unite West are high caliber, excellent events like the Chicks and Unite of the past. Working with CIY, we have a lot of new relationships and new speakers that they kind of have in their database. Eric and I have been digesting hours and hours of CIY this past summer, like their YouTubes of like their different speakers, kind of vetting them from like a covenant stance of like, how they line up with where we are. We also have kind of our own Rolodex of speakers that we've had at Unite's past. So our goal is that both campuses would have excellent experiences that are equal in quality, but mirror very similarly to Unite or Chick history. And Chris, we are working on service projects as well. The kind of Unite 2022 expression that happened in Jim's conference had a lot of service partnerships with Merge Ministries. And so we're thinking kind of outside the box of what it looks like on the East Coast and on the West Coast to serve in those communities. Because we know from Chick Past and in Unite history that service is really important to a lot of our youth groups, and it helps kind of it's anchor the week in service too. So yeah, we hope to we're partnering with both of the campuses to see, do they have any current mission projects or kind of partners that they serve with, so we can just plug into what they're already doing. And if not, we'll craft our own spaces to send students out and give back to the community for sure.
Yep. It's great.
To your comment, sorry, Jim.
No, that was it. Yep, go for it. That's where I was going.
You're working right now on promotional content to get to churches in a digital format. And so when it comes to a media piece and sort of like promotional, like things that the church can print out and like use in certain spaces, we are working on that currently and hope to have something in the coming weeks here for you before registration launches.
And I will say this, if you haven't seen it yet, in this Unite space, under, I think I can't see it right now, I think it's resources, is what it's called. That tab, there are some logos. And I actually uploaded 2 additional logos today that are a little more high res. So so you can feel free to check that out. And if you need to create your own something sooner, use those as well. They're available.
And Chuck, I agree. A video promo is super needed when it comes to youth group, you being with your students in your local church on the weekends, and it's on our radar, and we're in motion with it. So I'm not going to say a date because Jordan told me not anything I can't deliver on, but we have been in editing mode, so we agree with you.
Yep. So we can't promise it tomorrow. I can't put you on the stick for that.
Right. No, holiday weekend, all that. Yeah. And in working with CIY, they kind of have some of their historic timelines of when they produce different like thematic pieces, because we're going to work with them and have kind of a Unite slanted utilization of their thematic kind of work. And so they generally, August is a really productive time for them with some of the thematic pieces for the coming summer. And so we are keeping the heat kind of turned on there too, so that we can take and utilize their content as well.
Yeah, that's good. We did have a good question about resident supervisors. As in the past, will there be a resident supervisor role, or do we know what that will look like yet?
We don't know exactly what it will look like, but it will definitely be part of the plan.
100%.
Yeah, Unite West, they had some experience where it was, it would be helpful to have that type of thing. So,
Right. And I may or may not have been at a Unite North where students were taking chairs and putting on elevators.
no ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sure.
Cool. From Alex, for those that are coming in from smaller communities that have fewer flights, will the organizer facilitate with hotels around the campuses to pick up group room rates, or will each church need to plan for that? I think I think I could speak to that in that each church would need to plan for that on their own. The event itself is covering the dorm lodging during the event. Am I accurate
Right.
on that?
We've been in conversation with CIY about our agreements with San Diego State and Bowling Green, and it'll be about $50 per individual to stay a night early or a night late. Like that's kind of what they're have negotiated so far. So if there was a necessity to come in the day early or stay a day later, we could just tack that on to the registration. We kind of handle that if you stayed on campus. But there's also hotels proximate to both campuses that could also be a workable
resource. And I'll say, if you haven't done that before, I would recommend it actually. I've done that before, come in a day early, and it's nice to get a good night's sleep that night before, and spend some time with your group the next morning and the day, just to help prepare them for the week, and even setting up your leaders and things like that. So it can be a really great strategic opportunity to be able to do that. So okay, so it looks like we are Dale's got a question. Will Unite have opportunities to learn about social justice issues in communities as followers of Christ, and what our responses should be to those injustices, like we did in Denver in 2022? Engage. Yep. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, that is related to the service projects kind of bent, but also like in Chicks Pass, when we were at University of Tennessee, we had dynamic afternoon activities that allowed students to kind of dive deeper into that in like a workshop type format too. So I could see a lot of those things falling into place. Right now we're working, diligently to get to the place where registration is open. We're on our way. And then we're really also kind of, as summer comes to an end, fall kickoff starts, like our denominational team will step in and kind of help us with some of those resources to help engage in those types of topics too. So yes, Dale, that
right. And Dale, I think too, we're going to have learning opportunities, that service projects, like in the afternoons as well. So when it comes to like afternoon activities, like having things and spaces for kids to learn about, hey, what does it look like to be engaged in these like social justice sort of initiatives or tensions or topics of the time, or things like what if I sense a call to missions, or what if I sense a call to ministry, or how do I like reach my friends for Christ? So with CIY, like we are gonna build this out, and I agree. We should talk this through. I see your comment.
Yeah, Dale, how many afternoon breakouts have you led at Chicks in the past? Like I know your name has been involved in planning those workshops at Chicks in the past when we were at UT. How many have you been a part of it?
Yeah, I think like a lot, right?
A lot.
I don't know. Let's see, you type some number in there, but yeah.
One.
Yeah. Dale, I would say too, we've been talking about that, and leaning towards like they're saying, like learning, serving as well, but also that learning component, as we did with Engage last year in Denver. So, which is exciting. And I think we're hopefully and actually we need to pray through, and like Jordan said, we're trying to connect to those organizations that are in those areas, because these are new areas for us. So maybe Dale, if you've got some ideas,
I know exactly.
Let us know. You're the man. You're connected. So, has there been any thoughts about the possibility of provided bus transportation from Detroit Airport to BGSU? And I would throw in to SDSU as well in San Diego. Per my own group, that is asking that question.
Right. No, I think that's a big conversation that I think. I mean, we're actively talking about it. Is it something that we try to manage from a denominational front, or is it something that we empower conferences to handle on a conference level, and we just kind of continually provide lists for them to kind of resource those spaces? And so it's an active conversation. There's not clarity yet, but I think clarity will come as we see the needs also that arise, as you know, as we're booking travel, as we're figuring out like how are these churches going to get in, who's flying into Detroit, who's driving in, and all that. So yes, actively, it'll be a conversation that's actively progressing the whole way towards the event.
Steve Berger did ask any thoughts about how to raise money for our under-resourced churches with a much shorter timeline to raise. And Eric commented, check out the webinar that we did. But also, yeah, that's a great question, Steve. I would definitely say that there are a few other resources in fundraising resources in the resources tab on the left of the Mighty Network here. And we are going to be adding some other fundraisers that we've done in the past along the way with some details. So it's not a specific answer to your question, but there are some things that are there for that.
And then Tanya asked about that document we shared, Jim. I think we'll figure out a way to get that to the people here in like Mighty Networks to say like, and again, this is a draft of sort of like, it's a very high level day in the life. It doesn't show all the activities like timestamp by timestamp by timestamp. This is sort of like the generic flow, what you can expect. So we can get with the interim youth team and get them. I mean, actually Jim has that document. So find a way to post that and make sure that's a helpful resource for you as you continue planning.
Yeah, just to step back up to Steve Berger's comment about under-resourced churches and raising money. It's an active conversation with the interim youth ministry team and Eric and I on how best to resource our churches to provide access to all of our churches. Some of our churches are fundraiser kind of engines, and some have little to no resource in their community to fundraise with. And so we're working with our affiliates and our partners to try to strategically think about what scholarship funds could look like. I know there's some creative conversations happening, and like Matt Alseth mentioned, a conversation that's happening in his conference about unique ways that churches might be able to partner together for fundraising and kind of raising support for our under-resourced churches. So if you have ideas, if your church is well-resourced and you have the ability to fundraise really well, we would welcome you to kind of share with us in that bounty as well. The last Chick 2009, 12, and 15, the same pastor would call me every year at the Covenant office and say, we have too much money we want to give to a church that's in need. And so we were able to resource churches like in the Southeast Conference that didn't have as much resource in their community. And so if you're one of those churches that has more resource than you need for this activity, like we would love to help share that wealth with our churches, provide more access. But we are also working with the funds available to us to kind of lessen the burden on all of the churches. So
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And your conference coach can also help create partnerships as well. Marty, yes, there's a list, but I mean, we could run it down for you. Basically, so the Northwest Conference is going east. And if you're east of that, you're going east. The Midwest and the Mid-South Conference are going west. And if you're west of that, you're going west. So,
but if you're in Canada, Jim,
there you go.
That's a different scenario because we're working with the Canadian Conference because they are so widespreading. So we're going to discern with them what location they can go to. It was best for them in their church and their group.
Right.
Yeah, and registration is supposed to be the first couple of days in October. So either the 2nd or the 3rd is when we anticipate registration going live. And so back to like the video content and promotional materials, our goal is mid-September to have stuff start like flowing through Mighty Networks and out. Mid-September is, anywhere from the 12th to the 25th. That's mid-September.
Before this fall. Not say a date when things were dropping.
No promises, Eric.
We'd really, really encourage you to share this with other youth workers in your area, your conference, that you maybe don't see on here in the chat and things that you just want to make sure that they get there too. So please, once it's posted, feel free to share with them. And be sure to connect into all the other resources here that we've posted on the Unite area of Mighty Networks and the resources area so that you can like catch that fundraising webinar, catch the Unite graphics, things like that. So poke around, and you can message any of us if you have problems finding that information. Just send us a message on here, and we'll do our best to get you pointed in the right direction. So,
And before everyone leaves, we got something else coming up.
Yeah, we do. Do you want to talk about it?
September 14th.
September 14th.
What time?
It's our next. I don't think we set a time. We have a time TBD because we're trying to figure out which time we want to do it. But September 14th.
Yep. And Jordan and I and this team are going to talk about and answer any questions when it comes to registration. So with it launching in early October, we want everyone to feel that they're resourced and kind of poke around. We are using a platform called Brushfire, which we've used for Midwinter, Next Gen Conference, and Gather. So it's a different sort of process that we want to bring you in on. But mark your calendars, just the whole day.
Yep. I want to let you know too, there is a Unite email address that you can sign up for, which is at covechurch.org/unite. And so you can, there's a link there that says like send updates or something like that. So you can drop your email in there, and that's another place that you can be connected. All right, y'all, we are praying for you, and we bless you in your efforts. And again, let us know if you need anything. We're here to help. So we're cheering for you, and just pumped to see again what God will do in the lives of our students and transforming them into awesome disciples and disciple makers. So have a great night. And for those of you watching the recording later, I hope you have a great day, night, whatever time you're watching this. And we'll see you soon. All right, y'all. Have a great time.
See ya.